Hi, I'm Zhang. Welcome back. I live in a small county town in China. In this video, I'll continue showing you the most authentic rural life in China, the everyday lives of ordinary Chinese people. Today, I visited two different villages, a temple and a rural market. So let's get started. This village is called 火石顶子. It's about a 20-minute drive from my home. The village got its name because this area was once known for producing flint stones. It's a very small village. At its peak, around 800 people lived here. Today, only about 200 people remain. Most of them are elderly. "40 years ago, there wasn't even a road connecting this village to the outside world. Back then, people traveled mainly on foot or by bicycle. My grandfather once told me stories about his youth. He used to walk 50 kilometers, about 31 miles, to a neighboring county town. The journey took him 12 hours. That meant leaving home at 3 a.m. He even had to watch out for wolves along the way. Today, decades later, I can make the same trip in just 1 hour by car. Times have changed. The world has changed so quickly, but sadly, I can no longer share these changes with my grandfather. This Chinese character means celebration. Usually, it means that someone in the village is getting married. Many young Chinese people, even if they already live in big cities, still return to the villages where they grew up to hold their weddings. It's a way of telling their neighbors and relatives that they've truly become adults. For many Chinese people, their village is like the roots of a plant. No matter how far they travel, it remains home. This elderly couple has just returned from picking tea leaves. The old man told me tea prices are a little lower this year. He offered to make me some tea. I politely declined because I brought my own tea today. Now they're heading to the market. This is a public notice about family doctors. A water meter box. Another abandoned house. I often wonder where the people who once lived here are now, and what kind of life they're living. I really like these stone walls. They always feel familiar to me. It looks like this family has moved away too, but every spring festival, they still come back to put red couplets on the door. This is a rammed earth house. Before concrete and steel became common, this was one of the most popular building methods in the area. Walking alone through a quiet village always brings back childhood memories. For many Chinese people, the countryside remains a spiritual home. The villages here are very close to one another. The next village is only 2 kilometers away. This village is called Yufengling. Its name comes from a nearby mountain peak. Most of the houses here face south. I entered the village from the back. The same peaceful atmosphere. Only the dogs barked after catching the scent of a stranger. In my last video, some viewers asked why cars were parked along the roadside. The answer is simple. There aren't many people here. So parking like this rarely causes any inconvenience. Even as a local, I couldn't fully understand what this elderly man was shouting. Only after I saw his stall did I realize he was a traveling blacksmith. Blacksmiths like him mainly make small iron farming tools for nearby villagers. Nowadays, they're becoming increasingly rare. He's actually calling out for customers, letting everyone know he's here. Many elderly people in China still don't rely on smartphones in their daily lives. In many ways, they're still living by a different set of traditional rules. It's wheat harvest season. Freshly harvested wheat is drying in the village square. Some new buildings have been built in the village. This one is used to store agricultural machinery. That one appears to be a grain processing facility. While I was filming, a car appeared in the distance and slowly followed the winding road toward the village. I really liked that scene. It felt like there was a story hidden inside it. This rock was already here, naturally. To be more accurate, it's really a small mountain. Now it has been turned into a local landmark. I think it's a great idea. This is the blacksmith's mobile workshop. Even the bellows are still operated by hand. This is the village activity center for elderly residents. The words on the wall say, "A good living environment is the greatest wealth." Many people like planting fruit trees in front of their homes. Following the village road south, I arrived at a small park. Above it is a medium-sized reservoir. This appears to be a flood discharge channel. These Chinese characters mean rural revitalization. The shade here is wonderfully cool, so I stayed for a little while longer. Now it's time to head back, because on the northern side of the village, there's a temple. I haven't visited it in many years. Let's go take a look. This temple is called Zhang Temple. It was built to honor a local historical figure named Zhang, who lived more than 2,500 years ago. According to local legend, when Zhang was still a child, he once asked Confucius a question. The story says that even Confucius, who was already famous for his wisdom, couldn't answer it. Since then, Zhang has become a symbol of wisdom and lifelong learning. Even today, people still come here to remember this ancient scholar. Most of the inscriptions on these stone tablets encourage people to value learning and education. There are 24 stone statues here. They represent 24 historical figures who became famous for honoring and caring for their parents. In traditional Chinese culture, filial piety was considered one of the most important virtues. Today it is still respected, but perhaps not as strongly as before. The words on this couplet summarize Zhang life. In the courtyard stands a tree that is more than 420 years old. I don't know what kind of tree it is. If you recognize it, feel free to let me know. It's very cool here. Take a look at the red ribbons behind me. They're covered with people's wishes. Many people believe that writing down a wish and tying it near the tree may help it come true. Most of the wishes are for the health and safety of family members. Others hope for love and happiness. This is a clay statue of Zhang. After a short visit, I left the temple. Outside, the square was covered with wheat drying in the sun. I decided to explore the surrounding area. Here stands a statue of a mountain god. In traditional Chinese mythology, many mountains are believed to have their own guardian spirit. Today I brought a folding chair, some tea, and a thermos of hot water. Now it's time for a tea break. After all that walking, I'm getting thirsty. Honestly, I enjoy these little rituals of relaxation. This is locally produced green tea. It's slightly bitter, but mostly fresh and fragrant. Now for the final stop of today's journey, the local market. I also need to buy some vegetables for lunch. When this elderly man noticed my camera, he smiled. He seemed a little shy. It's only in remote markets like this that you can still find blacksmiths. A few years from now, they may disappear entirely.
才开不电视哈。才能不开，哎呀，里边是不是荧光多？你得上多年的，这会买你可以开。
Jellyfish salad.
我就因为这个吃，你看怎么样？有生活。
Fried dough sticks. I bought some tomatoes. My two children love the tomato and egg rice bowls I make for them.
这活的好，这活的好，那活的连两个都甜，和这活发甜，不会不行，这活的发超甜。那这4块3毛2，4块啊。
These leaves are used for making zhangzi. The Dragon Boat Festival is coming soon. People wrap sticky rice inside these leaves and steam them. It's one of the most traditional foods of the festival.
干点豆腐呀，5块钱的吧，要豆腐。5块钱就行。
I also bought some tofu for lunch. These handmade sun hats sell for about $3 US.
啊，它这个帽檐是炒薄的哈。
它不是，它都是金丝10万的卖啥？要啥10卖28。
The one I'm holding costs about $1.50. It's woven from bamboo, very delicate work. The craftsman can only make about 4 baskets like this in a day.
多么长时间编这么一个？
This is the everyday life of many ordinary Chinese people. Nothing grand, Nothing romantic, just real life. Some viewers have asked me why the villages I film look so clean. Honestly, I had never really thought about it. Most villages around me simply look like this. So, when I saw that question, I was genuinely surprised. What surprises you about life in China? Let me know in the comments. See you in the next video.